Welcome back to another edition of Hudson Power Broker Issues and Interviews with Kieran Michael Lalor. I hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. I hope that after you watch this, you'll share it with your friends on social media. One of the big complaints is there's not enough coverage of political campaigns, and there's certainly not enough unbiased, non-liberal coverage of political campaigns. So Hudson Power Broker is covering all the campaigns in the Hudson Valley, and I hope you'll share it and spread the word, and more people will know what's going on. And we have a great guest this morning. We're joined by Judge Peter Forman, sitting county court judge here in Dutchess County, who's running for re-election. Good morning, Judge Forman. How are you?
Good morning, Kieran. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. We're going to get into your campaign and your background. And one thing I just remembered while we were setting up here, many years ago in the late 90s, I believe your daughter was a student of mine at Lord's High School, if I'm not mistaken, in 99, 2000 time frame.
Yes, I've been very blessed to have three daughters who are all grown now, all graduated from Our Lady of Lourdes High School. And I really appreciate the interaction between our faculty members and our daughters. They had a great education there.
All right. I'm sure she still talks about her favorite teacher from social studies.
All the time.
Profound impact on her life. But actually, you're a Lourdes graduate also, correct?
I am.
And there's a whole lot of Formans. How many siblings did you grow up with down there?
I'm the oldest of 8 children. Okay. My parents, we grew up in Beacon. I'm currently living in the same house that my great-grandfather bought in 1922.
Oh, that's cool.
You're the 4th generation.
Yeah, very cool. And I'm the 5th of 6. My oldest brother graduated from Lourdes. The rest of us got a proper education at John Jay. Danny, one who graduated from Lourdes in '84 with your brother John, I think.
Yes.
He's proud of the fact that you are the first Lourdes graduate to be elected countywide.
That's true.
And a few others have followed in your.
They have, but I'm very proud of. I'm a proud Lourdian graduate. I I'm an active member of the class of 1973.
Okay. Now the legislative delegation at Dutchess County, John Jay people. Me and Sue Serino both went to John Jay. So tell us a little bit of background, Judge Forman.
Well, I've been serving in the county court for 10 years now. And prior to that, I was elected to the family court. So I've got 20 years of judicial experience here in Dutchess County. So I enjoy the position of county court judge, and I'm seeking another term. And
you've done a lot in the law profession. You've been the corporation counsel for the city of Beacon, if I'm not mistaken. You were in the DA's office. Tell us about your early experience as a lawyer.
I started my career as a prosecutor with the Dutchess County District Attorney's Office in 1982. And I then worked in private practice for a while. And then I became the city attorney in Beacon in 1990 when Clara Lou Gould was elected mayor. I have served as a law clerk to County Court Judge Tom Dolan before I got elected to family court.
Good man, Tom Dolan.
Great guy, great mentor for me. We had worked together in the DA's office before I started to work with him in the court system.
And who was the DA? Bill Grady was the DA when you started?
Actually, John King was the DA who appointed me after I graduated from law school. And then he moved on to county court judge, and Bill Grady became the next district attorney. So I served under Bill Grady towards the end of my term with the DA's office.
Okay. And where did you go to college and law school, Judge Forman?
I'm a Lemoyne College graduate up in Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
And then I went to the University of Dayton for law school in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you got out of New York for a little while, but you made it back.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Dayton. They have a great Division I basketball team, Dayton Flyers. And it was fun being out in the Midwest. One of my wife's cousins had gone to Dayton. Actually, 2 of them had gone to Dayton from Wappingers Falls, and they recommended it to me, and I had a really good education there, I think.
Wow, very cool. And Lemoyne was in the news in the past week in the sports world because a Ketchum High School graduate. We're covering all the bases here, so you get votes.
Got drafted in the first round.
Yeah, drafted pitcher, Ketchum, and then Lemoyne College, correct?
Yes. Lemoyne has a strong baseball program. He's not the first. He would not be the first player to make the major leagues. In fact, a Lemoyne graduate pitched a perfect game for the Cincinnati Reds back in the 80s, Tom Browning.
Oh, wow. Tom Browning went to Lemoyne? I did not know that.
He did. Yep.
Wow. All right. Good man. Good man. And, speaking of sports, they always talk about Bill Parcells, the football coach. He has a coaching tree, includes Belichick and a whole bunch of others who are assistants. You kind of have a judicial tree because you're the county court judge the last 10 years. Mike Hayes was your clerk for a number of years now. The countywide judge as a surrogate. He's been on this show. Brian Rudner is the East Fishkill town justice court. And was Tracy McKenzie? Did she work for you, Judge McKenzie?
Well, Denise Watson was my first law clerk when I was a family court judge.
Okay.
And she was elected to succeed me as a family court judge in 2011 when I moved from family court to county court. And she hired Tracy McKenzie to be her law clerk.
Okay.
And then Tracy got elected in 2015. So I guess you could say my tree begins with Denise Watson, moves on to Michael Hayes and Tracy McKenzie.
And now that I think of it, they're all large graduates in the big judicial positions.
They are.
Tracy McKenzie, Hayes,
Yep.
Judge McLaughlin, the other.
Yes.
Judges
My colleague in county court, Ned McLaughlin, is also a large graduate.
Right, very cool. Very cool. And there's 2 county court judges, but you also sit as an acting state Supreme Court justice. Is that correct?
Yes, because of the needs of the court system, I'm also handling civil cases in Supreme Court as a trial judge, which involves medical malpractice cases, contract cases, matrimonials, negligence cases, everything under the sun that doesn't get involved in criminal court or surrogates court.
Right, and that's a good opportunity. County court, for those who don't know, what kind of matters are heard in county court?
Felony cases, the robberies, the rapes, the murders, burglaries, drug sales, sexual assaults. It runs the gamut, but anything that could involve a prison sentence is heard before one of the 2 county court judges here in Dutchess County and throughout the state.
And what's the typical day like in county court? What does the county court judge do on a daily basis?
We generally have calendars in the mornings to review our cases in the courtroom, take guilty pleas, conference cases, impose sentences. In the afternoons, we usually have our trial and hearings. Hearings sometimes have to be scheduled ready for a trial, or whether a defendant's statement should be admitted to evidence at trial. And then we will schedule jury trials, and we have many jury trials during the course of the year for cases to be, for the defendant to determine, for the people to determine whether or not they can convict the defendant of the charges contained in the indictment.
Okay. And why does it matter to people who sits in that position? Does it matter one way or the other who is a county court judge?
I think experience is a great feather in your cap if you have it for running for this position. I offer the voters of Dutchess County, and specifically members of the Independence Party in the upcoming primary, the fact that I have 20 years experience as a judge, together with my experience as an assistant district attorney and as a law clerk for a county court judge. I'm very proud of the fact that over 20 years, my decisions have been reviewed by the appellate division to the extent that 95% of my decisions have been affirmed over that period of time. If a case gets reversed after a trial, that means the case has to be tried a second time. And that is not cost effective for either the taxpayers, and it also makes it more difficult to try a case a second time because witnesses have a tendency to disappear with time.
Right. Very good point. Very good point. And you mentioned the fact that you're not only running in November as the Republican and conservative candidate, but you're actually in a campaign right now to be the candidate of the Independence Party. Tell us why Independence Party voters should vote for you, Judge Forman.
Well, I've been endorsed by the Independence Party for the 4th time. Every time I've run for office, twice in family court and now twice for county court, the Independence Party has chosen to endorse me. That doesn't mean that I'm going to get the ballot line in November. I have to win a primary. And I've been out knocking on doors with a mask and mailing to voters and calling them on the telephone to make sure they know about my experience and that I'm looking to serve another term in county court. I think the fact that I have the trust of, I've got over 200 lawyers on my letterhead. I have all the people that I work with in the court system in the past have endorsed my candidacy, court officers, members of the staff through the Civil Service Employees Association. In the past, I've had tremendous law enforcement is behind me. The people who work with me know that I'm a straight shooter. I'm an umpire. I call balls and strikes. I have no agenda. And I work extremely hard. My staff, I take pains to go out and hire good people to work with me. As you mentioned, my current law clerk is Brian Rudner, who's a town judge in the town of East Fishkill, one of the smartest lawyers I've ever worked with. Michael Hayes, before that, was my law clerk for 7 years. He's now a circuit court judge, also a brilliant lawyer. I try to find really good people to help me. One of my administrative judges told me when I first started in 1999, find someone who's smarter than you to be your law clerk. And I said, that's great advice, and that isn't very hard to find. But I really enjoy the intricacies of criminal law. Every day is different. Every fact pattern is different. It's invigorating. I'll go in often on Sundays to work on decisions when no one's in the courthouse. And I enjoy making sure my cases move forward and there's not a backlog.
You're a lawyer's lawyer and a judge's judge.
Well, I try to be. I try to treat everybody fairly. I try to be courteous and polite to no matter who comes into my courtroom, and try to make sure that the jurors are taken care of. One of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that about 7 or 8 years ago, I went to the county legislature to make sure that the jurors no longer had to pay for their parking. The state of New York pays every juror $40 a day to serve as a juror, and they used to have to pay $14 a day out of that to pay for their parking. I didn't think that was fair. Right. And I went to the legislature, and I went to County Executive Molinaro, and a bill was passed 25-0 in the county legislature to essentially put a $50,000 line item in the budget that would offset that cost. So the jurors now get a card, and they park across the street from the courthouse. It doesn't cost them a dime.
Yeah, that's a nice innovation. You're right. It's a burden enough to be a juror, especially in county court, hearing felony trials. The least you could do is not have to worry about paying for parking.
We want to encourage people to serve on juries. We want to make it as efficient as possible with their time. Everyone's time is valuable. And I also thought it was an insult that they would have to pay out of their pocket. And we don't have a parking garage here in Dutchess County, but we did lease spaces from the city of Poughkeepsie, catty corner across the street, very convenient. They had space that they could give us. It was a win-win situation. And I think the jurors who have now come in and served appreciate the fact that that system has been put in place, and I'm proud that I'm the one who put it together.
Very nice, very nice. Now, Judge Forman, we're talking about the Independence primary, which is a week from tomorrow, the 23rd of June, but it's actually already started. It started over the weekend with early voting. Tell us about early. Somebody's in the Independence Party, not just independent with no party, but
no. You have to be a member of the Independence Party to vote. There are two early voting locations in Dutchess County. One is at the town of Fishkill Town Hall. One is at the town of Poughkeepsie Community Room, which is the town of Poughkeepsie Town Hall next to the town of Poughkeepsie Police Department. And it's on Tucker Drive in the town of Poughkeepsie. Those locations are open until June 21st. The hours are in the Board of Elections website. If you go to Dutchess County Board of Elections, you can download the schedule. I think it's roughly 9 to 5 every day, but I'm not sure about Saturdays and Sundays. I think it's 12 to 5. But you can also vote by absentee. If you file an absentee by tomorrow, an application can be then used by the Board of Elections, and a ballot will be sent to you. And then election day, primary day, is June 20th, and each town will have essentially one location to. That is towns at Town Hall. In the city, there are 2 locations: the safety building, St. John's Church, and some communities, Fishkill, communities of the town. And that list on the board's website where you vote. People normally polling place, a lot of those will be open because they don't expect big crowds, and they can't find people to work the polls because of the COVID crisis.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. And we have to wrap up here in about 25 seconds, but where can people learn more about your campaign for re-election, Judge Forman?
Karen, I have a Facebook page, Re-elect Judge Peter Forman. And I also have a website, petermforman.com, judgepetermforman.com. So I invite people to go look on my Facebook page, which is current, and also take a look at my website if they want more information about my background and experience.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Judge Forman. Check out those websites. Check out the social media. subscribe to the Hudson Power Broker audio and video podcast. And we'll be back next time. Thanks so much for joining us, Judge Foreman.
Thank you very much, Karen. Have a nice day.